Hi guys, it's George here from A&B Magazine. We're here in the beautiful alpine town of Bright in Victoria, and we are here today with the all-new Pivot Shadowcat. So this bike is replacing the Mach 5.5. It is a whole new model in and of itself. It only comes in a 27-inch wheel size. This is designed not to be a burly enduro race bike, but rather to be a fun, playful, poppy and agile trail bike. Pivot claims that this has some XC orientated details despite being a trail bike. One of those details is the vertical shock layout. What this does is it allows them to shave off grams because it's basically just pushing against an already reinforced bottom bracket rather than having to use a bunch of material around the top tube here to support the shock. While this doesn't roll as fast once it gets up to speed, the acceleration out of corners, through turns, up hills from standing starts is phenomenal because of that 27.5-inch wheel size. It's got a Fox 36 up front, so it's running 160mm travel up the front and 140mm in the back. On top of making this a super lightweight trail bike, they've also made it a very simple and user-friendly bike. A few things they've done to simplify this bike compared to other pivots is they've got rid of the flip chip. They've also put a Fox Fit 4 damper in instead of the Grip 2. This means that there's less dials, less adjustability, but it does make it a lot simpler to set up for the average rider. The Shadowcat also, unlike a lot of other pivots, uses boost spacing as opposed to super boost. They also weren't too concerned about using boost instead of super boost because it meant another opportunity for them to slim down the overall build of the bike and make it, again, a super lightweight trail bike. Speaking of weight, when we weighed this with Shimano XTR pedals and a bottle cage, it came to a total of 13.2 kilos. So Pivot are bringing the Shadowcat into Australia in multiple iterations. It starts from 10 grand and works its way up to 15 grand for the top model. Pro model, which is what we have here, this is a mixture of XTR and XT components with a Reynolds wheel, carbon wheel upgrade. And that brings this to 13.5 grand. So the bike we have on test here is a size medium. The top tube length is 627 millimeters. The chainstay is 430 mil. The wheelbase is 1200 mil and the reach is 460 mil. The size medium has an effective head tube angle of 65.8 degrees and a seat tube angle of 76 degrees. They are all running 27.5-inch wheels, but that does make it a great option for smaller riders, particularly because even the extra small frame is going to fit a bottle cage. That's something you won't find on a lot of trail/enduro extra small bikes. The suspension kinematics of the Shadowcat are super progressive. What this means is that on a nice, easy flow trail, it's not going to absorb too much of your effort and maintain plenty of efficiency. But when the going gets tough down steep, rocky chutes, there's still going to be enough suspension at the bottom there to save you. So the Pro Shadowcat build here has a mixture of XT and XTR components. The XT 4-pot brakes come with 180mm rotors, and the shifting is XT, but the derailleur is XTR. The cockpit is all Pivot branded, including the grips. Now the grips are something I didn't particularly feel were a right fit for this bike. I thought something this nimble and agile, the riders want to have a really close next to bar feel when they're riding. The grips that came on this particularly spec bike were just a bit too wide, and having some really nice narrow grips would accentuate just how agile this bike rides. Up front, we've got a Fox 36 with 160mm of travel. The seat post is a Fox factory dropper with 175mm of drop. The wheels are Reynolds carbon rims laced to Industry 9 hubs. Now these carbon Reynolds wheels are not standard on the Pro build, but you can choose these as an upgrade. It will add about 2 grand to the retail price. The tyres are Maxxis dissectors with XO casing, both front and rear. Typically, the dissector is only used as a rear tire, but Pivot have decided to put it on the front as well. It is a very fast rolling tire, so it does make sense in some ways to put it on the front. However, never having ridden with a dissector on the front, I didn't really trust it at first. It did take me quite a few runs to settle into it and trust this super fast rolling, aggressive trail tire. So, how does it actually feel on the trails? Well, I've been riding a 29-inch enduro bike for a couple years now, so I've been a little bit out of touch with how a 27.5-inch feels. But when I got out on the trails today, I really immediately felt at home on the Shadowcat. The 27.5-inch means that it does roll a little bit slower and requires a little bit more pedaling efficiency when you're out on the trails, but it does mean that it corners through really tight stuff a lot better. It does accelerate a little bit better as well than a 29er, at least from a standing start. And it's also got a very generally playful and nimble feel to it. A lot of girls in particular who are quite petite often give the feedback that 29-inch wheels feel like you're riding a monster truck. Well, that is absolutely not the case with the Shadowcat. It is fast, nimble, agile, and very comfortable to ride. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to see more of this editorial and review content, subscribe to AMB's YouTube channel. Otherwise, we'll see you out on the trails.